Welcome to Better Business Results. My name is John Whitt, and I'm your host. I work with business owners, executives, and sales professionals in 30 minutes or less each week to generate better business results. I'm the owner of BusinessWhitt, a published author, and a senior leader in the FocalPoint International Coaching Organization, where we have over 180 coaches on all 7 continents. Albert Einstein's quoted as saying that compound interest is the most powerful formula in the universe. If you were to improve your business 0.1% on a daily basis, you would be almost 24% more effective and more efficient at the end of 1 year. You too can harness the power of compound interest for your business, generating 3 action items each week. That's what we're here to do. Let's get started. Welcome to Better Business Results. My name's John Whitt, and I'm your host. We're going to spend 30 minutes with you today sharing some business ideas and tips. Today we're joined by Vicki Higgins. Vicki Higgins is a life and business transformationalist.
Absolutely.
And the founder of Vicki Higgins Consulting. Vicki, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a
I
pleasure.
really appreciate your time. So this is interesting because Vicki and I are somewhat similar in some ways, and we do some different things in ways, and we thought, this would really add some value to our viewers. Vicki, as we get started, we always try to share a little bit about, how'd you get started in this business? Why are you here? Why do you do what you do?
Sure. I think being a business and life transformationalist, I think it kind of found me. I had been in the corporate world for about 20 years, a little more. I was the executive vice president, chief marketing officer at my company, had offices around the world, managed teams, and on the outside it looked like I had it all. And I was pretty happy. I liked what I was doing. But when I started really taking stock and looking at people who were further down the road than me, I noticed that they had a lot of stress, and I was starting to feel some of that too. I noticed that they were not really happy in life, and I felt like I had more that I wanted to do in life. I didn't know exactly what that was.
You didn't want to do that.
I didn't want to be them in 10 years. And I'm like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to do something different, and I want to do something that makes a difference. So I took a leap of faith and started a marketing consulting business. I'd done marketing for a very long time, sports and tourism and entertainment. So I started that business, but when I started the marketing consulting business, so many people hit me up on LinkedIn or hit me up on Facebook or Twitter or emailed me, and they were like, hey, how did you do this? How did you make that change? It's so exciting. Can you talk me through this? And I just for free started giving advice, or not really advice, but just helping people come to their own understanding of what was important to them. And then I really realized that I had a lot of information about this. And while I was operating my marketing business, I started studying with some of the best people. I went around the world. I studied with some amazing mentors. I learned a lot about coaching. I learned a lot about business coaching. I learned a lot about strategy. I learned a lot about life coaching, counseling, and I read 300 books. I'm a bit of a research geek, so 300 books and thousands of dollars and thousands of hours. I really felt like, wow, I have all this information that most people take years and years and years to compile. I can probably use this to help some people. So like I said, it just kind of found me. People started asking me, and I started helping, and I'm like, oh, I think there's a business here. So there's
a real passion about what it is that you do. And I think that's one of the keys to the coaching profession.
Well, I've done it. I made that transformation in my life, and I found that it was so rewarding and fulfilling to make that transformation and help others make that transformation and see them have more happiness and more fulfillment and more freedom. It was just really, really rewarding. So
think about it in terms of happiness and fulfillment for you in your life, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you were doing marketing, you're doing that kind of thing, but now you're doing coaching. Right? How's your happiness and fulfillment? It's just like the whole nother
level,
right?
Yeah.
And so obviously you get to experience that. You get to do what you love, and you get to help people and be.
It's amazing.
Again, I think that's a big component of the coaching profession, right? We're here to help people get where they want to go, help people to achieve that next space, that next level, create some balance.
Right.
We'll talk some more about all of those kinds of things. So,
absolutely.
So share with us just a little bit on your ideal type of client. And we've talked before, my client's not necessarily your ideal client, but what's your ideal client?
I work a lot with people who've been in business, usually in the corporate sector or in sports or entertainment, because that's where I came from. So I can help them navigate the waters. They've probably been in business 10, 15, 20 years. They're recognizing that they've created some success in their career, but they are starting to feel like they want more out of life and want more. They might even feel guilty for wanting more out of life because they look like they have it all, but they want more out of life. And that's really my ideal client. I don't typically work with a lot of startups or not even a lot of entrepreneurs, quite honestly. Like, my ideal client really is they're people who have been in the grind. They wake up in the morning and they drive to work in the dark, and they're coming home at night and they're driving home from work in the dark, and they're just trying to find a way to get more hours, and they're trying to find a way to have more happiness and more fulfillment and more freedom in their life.
And on the outside, it looks like they're doing fine.
Sure,
right?
they
but
have
inside,
a great.
Inside, it's not the same.
Yeah.
All right. So the types of challenges that you help them solve, what are those?
Time, for sure. Energy, health issues, because stress causes a lot of health issues, and just career stress in general. And then also a biggie is clarity, like really getting focused on what your purpose is, what your passion is, what you're clear about your career and where you want to go.
So I think time, a lot of people kind of understand how that works, but
Right.
share a little bit more about the energy concept, because we talked about this earlier and I liked it.
Well, I think it's funny because, I was one of these people. I would pop in 3:00 in the afternoon to a coffee shop, pick up my latte or mocha or whatever it was, and head back to the office. And now that I am no longer in that environment and I have a lot of energy, I might once in a while pop in to a coffee shop and get a cup of tea, and I listen to the orders in front of me, and it's fascinating. One person will say, "Oh man, I'm just having a crazy day. I need like the double espresso strong. Like, what else can you give me?
We have a triple
or
shot.
Please do like 7 shots of caffeine in this." Or, we're just this society of anxiety and all of this stress that's on us. It's just hard to get through a day because we're just so overburdened and so overwhelmed with everything to do that we just need more energy, and we try to find that from energy drinks or caffeine or medication. Exactly. Yeah. So many things. So
well, and so it was time, and it was energy, and it was clarity, and health issues. And that some of that is the balance, caffeine, and blood pressure, and there's all kinds of things that happen when you have a very stressful life or stressful career. I read some crazy stat that 70% of all medical issues are something like stress related. We have some new information. We have some new tools actually on stress related. I'll talk to you about those after the show, about some different analysis tools we have on measuring stress that you might find interesting. But those are the key components of what you're doing. And then share a little bit about how do you address those things? How do you solve those problems?
Well, stress management, you're right. 70% of illnesses are stress related. I have a lot of stats on that as well. And 60 to 90% of all of our healthcare provider visits are related to something around stress. And so when we look at that number as compared to only 3% of people seek stress management help, I help with stress management. So I really go out to talk with people, and often they just find me to talk about how do I manage the stress that's in my life? How do I manage the stress that's in my career, my business? Because it's impacting and infiltrating everything in my life. So I really help with stress management. Overall, we look at business and life, and then we start digging into a little deeper how we can create more fulfillment in the areas that are priorities to them.
And you mentioned you have sort of a 5-step process. The first one is a little bit of finding about where you're at today, right? You want to walk us through that?
Yeah, the first one is operate with total integrity, and that's looking at where are you right now, and you have to look at this with real honesty and not only honoring your commitments and being really honest, but you can't come into this with rose-colored glasses thinking like, oh, it's okay, everybody has a little debt, or oh, it's okay, everybody's on some blood pressure medicine. You have to come into this with a real honest approach of where am I right now? And what is frustrating about it? What's irritating about it? Why is this agitating me? And what do I want to fix? How do I want to change it? And so having the clarity of where you are now and sort of where you want to go, but operating with total integrity in each different aspect of your life, that really gives us a good starting point. And if we're not operating in total integrity in business and in life, then none of the other steps are going to work.
one of the places I find with clients from an integrity standpoint, they'll make a commitment to a client, they'll do everything they can to make it happen, but the one person that they shortchange is themselves, right? Those rose-colored glasses that people say it's okay, it's all right, and it's really not, right? But basically they're just making a bunch of excuses, and you're saying, hey, we're pulling the rug out of those excuses. We're saying that's not how this works, right?
Well,
You've got to get.
When did it become okay to go to a doctor, have a diabetes or blood pressure issue or heart issue or anything, and the diagnosis is sentencing you to a life on medication? And you're okay with that. When did that become okay in our society? Like, I really think there are so many elements that we need to take a different look at and a different perspective, from the energy and the time, as well as our health issues, and as well as just getting clarity on where you really want to go. What's that secret desire in you that you really want to make happen in your life before it's done?
Yeah.
This is the second half. If it's a game, we're at halftime, and this is the second half. What are you going to do with it?
Well, and the second half can be special. It
Totally.
can be spectacular. It can be better than the first half.
Yes.
It's not over. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he's just like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do. He's like, I'm just going to settle down and relax. And I'm like, wow, man, you're like 50 years old. You could do all kinds of things.
Yeah. What's the next section? What's the next half?
It
could be so amazing.
He doesn't have a whole lot of financial challenges today because, he's had a good, successful career.
Right.
But, I don't know. I think he's going to work through that. We had some discussions that kind of helped him push that direction. Now, the other one, the second step is this prepare to dominate. Prepare to dominate.
Most people say create an action plan. Where are you? Where you want to get to? Create an action plan. How are you going to get there? I think that's a little BS. I think that we have to become a different person. So when you prepare to dominate, you can't operate from the same belief system and the same mindset and the same habits that you have had, because that's gotten you to this point, which is fine. But if you want to get to this point, we have to become a different person. I'm not saying drastically like change your hair color, but I'm saying, become a different person, like from how you show up in each area of your life. So we really work through what does it take to prepare to dominate in this area of your life, whether it's business, your finances, your relationships, your health, your fun, and your experiences that you're creating.
That's
like,
understanding
what do you
all
create?
of the change.
Understanding all the change that has to happen. And when you really start digging into that, like, what's the mindset? What are the beliefs? What are the beliefs we have to get rid of? What are the habits? What are the rituals? When you look at athletes and musicians and the most extraordinary people in the world that have great success, they have a certain set of habits and rituals, and they have become the person that lives that. So I help people really become prepared to dominate, become who that person needs to be before it even exists, who that person needs to be now, and then it's going to show up in your life.
Yeah, and now when those instances occur, they're
You are prepared.
They're prepared, and some people can fly by the seat of their pants and do fairly well. Most of us can't. But everybody will be better off when they're more prepared to reach those situations or deal with those situations when they occur.
I have a story. Do we have time for a quick story? Quick story?
Yeah.
So my friend, Eason, he is a determined, amazing former NFL player, amazing speaker, Broadway playwright. He has just done amazing things in his life. So Eason tells this story, and I will summarize it, probably not in any way that he can tell it, but I'll give you a brief synopsis. Eason had prided himself on being the best player on his team, and he was always the first one on the field, the last one to leave practice, and always was preparing. So he got traded to the 49ers, and when he was traded, he went out on the field for practice, and whoa, there was somebody else out there. Jerry Rice was already out on the field. He's like, first one on the field is the best player. Okay. So a little later in practice, they line up, and the quarterback is going to throw the ball, and each of the players have to run and catch the ball. Really simple drill. First player up, a rookie. He runs, kind of half runs down the field, cuts left, catches the ball, brings it back, lobs it. I think at that time it was Joe Montana, lobs it to Joe Montana, and then gets back in line. Second player up, he's a rookie, kind of runs halfway down the field, cuts right, catches the ball, same thing. Jerry Rice gets up, gets in his stance. Boom! He is down the field in a flash. Cuts left, catches the ball, turns around, runs all the way to the other end, and scores a touchdown. In practice, this is what he does. This is how he shows up. Comes back and throws the ball back to Joe Montana. So after practice, Bo is asking Jerry Rice, like, dude, what was that? Like, what was that? Why do you do that? And Jerry Rice said simply, I am preparing myself. Every time these hands touch the leather of a football, this body goes across the touchdown line. Like, that's how I prepare myself.
And he's
preparing. So he's preparing to dominate. And in practice, he is not showing up running halfway down the field. So I ask, where are you running halfway down the field? Or at a half jog and kind of cutting left and kind of showing up? Or are you showing up and really dominating? Like, have you prepared yourself to really dominate? So I love that story from Bo Eason because he tells it way better than I do. But just to give you a short synopsis, it's a great story because it talks about how you prepare. In practice, he shows up in that way in every area.
Dominate. We got the plan. We got the change. What's next?
So operate with total integrity and prepare to dominate. Once you're clear about who you are and where you want to go and you have prepared to dominate, now we need to create a playbook. Nobody gives us a playbook on life, right? So I have created a secret playbook that is your tool to create success in each different aspect of your life. So the secret playbook, it is no big wheel and it's not coloring and it's not a lot of big lists of things that you need to figure out. It is so simple. It is 4 things. You need to play offense, you need to play defense, you need to have some special teams, and you need to find a way that you create goals, success goals in each area of your life. It's really simple to navigate and it's really simple to create. But I help my clients go through that and having their own secret playbook because it isn't a one size fits all. We're all unique. We're all different.
Well, you start with a template of the playbook, but it's actually it's customized to the
unique
actual individual. Yeah,
it's your secret playbook. Like we work with you on that together to design this playbook that it is your plays on your life that is unique to you. It's not a one size fits all.
So I got the playbook. What's next?
Next is leveraging your time.
Everybody has such trouble with that one. And the last one?
The last one is working with a coach.
Working with a coach.
Yeah.
All right. So you're a coach. I'm a coach. You have a coach. I have a coach.
Absolutely.
What are your expectations of a coach?
Well, I would say first, I don't care who you work with, but work with a coach because there are some things that you're going to get out of it. There are also some things to look for. There are coaches out there who've just gotten some online degree and they have some template that is a one size fits all, and they are not. It's just a job for them. They're not going to really be able to relate to what you're going through. So beware of those. There are a lot of them out there. There are a lot of people that will also try to, get you into some super long program. And if you're a person that likes quicker results, that may not be the right program for you. And then I would also say there are people who have big, they don't have a passion for it. They're doing this as a job and you're just kind of another number and they don't have a passion to really help you. So those would be some things to be aware of as you're looking for a coach because I do think that's important. But when you look at the best athletes and you look at the best, most successful people and you look at musicians and artists, like you look at all of these great people, they all have coaches, they all have mentors. And what coaching brings to you, it brings you accountability. It brings you a new perspective. It brings a lot of clarity and being able to just help you get moving. Like this is your confidant, your person that you can tell anything to, and that person's gonna not be there to be your friend, quite honestly.
No,
it's gonna be there
to
be your, like, hey, when you're having a tough time through something, it's gonna be someone that can kind of kick you in the rear and push you forward. Like that, they're gonna, if you want to get to these goals, the right coach is gonna be the person that's gonna help you get to the goals.
Excuses. You're gonna push right on through that.
Yeah,
so I think accountability falls very closely in both of ours, and then my focus is on planning, but you've got a planning component on
Absolutely.
it, and then time and resource, leveraging your time. The
Right.
more effectively we leverage our time on the areas that are most important for us, the more success we're going to have. Whatever
Absolutely.
success we decide or we desire.
Yeah.
So, well, listen, I really appreciate that. And
Sure.
so what's interesting is that you're working with executives and all that kind of stuff, and I have a tendency to work more on with small businesses.
Oh.
And you, at this point, are a small business owner.
I
You're
am.
running your own business.
Absolutely.
And the challenges of running a business owner. Now, you had mentioned there's 3. I know one of the challenges you have is you work with a largely male clientele.
Uh-huh.
And so how do you find that? How does that work for you? How do you overcome that, or does it create any particular challenges?
Well, with people who are considering working with me, I do a complimentary breakthrough call first, so we can determine, if it's going to be the right fit. And I've noticed sometimes, I am a woman and I have had a lot of business experience, but they do question me a lot more in that breakthrough call. Like, well, wait a minute, who are you and what have you done? And so, whereas I think, I've worked in very male-dominated industries, clearly sports and entertainment, and a lot of male domination in those areas. So I understand and I get it. But being a woman in this industry and working predominantly with male clients, I've found that using my background in sports has helped me be able to connect with them. I know a lot about sports. I can put things in different analogies that they're going to get. I'm not talking about a lot of woo-woo stuff that's going to seem a little crazy. And so, really being able to connect in with them on a sports level and talk about like, hey, what is, Phil Jackson says this about coaching or, whatever. Like I'm able to like come to the table with some things. So I've just had to prove myself a little bit more, I feel like, with my clients.
You have a speed and a pace and an energy that fits sports and fits the type of client that you're looking for.
Right.
And often that's now there are some women that have that.
Right.
But as I would say, as a rule, there are more men that have that pace, that
Yeah.
pace and that energy and stuff, and so that's sort of why it fits. So in terms of a small business owner, the time has shown up about 5 times already in our discussion today. So we're going to talk about time. We're going to talk about this little program this little principle called the 3 I's of the
Right.
business owner, or the
Right.
3 I's of the entrepreneur. And so Michael Gerber, and I'm certain you know Michael, wrote a book called The E-Myth Revisited, and he and Brian Tracy, and a lot of my information knowledge comes from Brian. I've been a friend and a sort of a disciple for many years.
Yes, me too.
He collaborates with Michael all the time, and they actually came up with this thing called the 3 I's of the business entrepreneur. And so the story takes place with Mary. She's in the pie shop, etc. I'm going to go into detail on that, but he says there's 3 different views of the entrepreneur, and the first one is sort of outward facing, and this is when you're thinking about starting a business and you're coming with an idea and you're saying, what can the market have, or what about this and what about that? You're asking some question, what if, how could I, that kind of thing. And this is the entrepreneur phase of the business, right? And you have to have this because you can't start your business unless you figure out what your products and services and stuff like that. All right. After that, though, you start to sell stuff, right? And you start to deliver. And now you have to take the manager view. Yeah. The manager view has different questions. They ask things like when and how much and how many, right? Because we've got to deliver the services. We've got to make that kind of thing happen. And we've got to do both of these things. And if you're a solopreneur, which you're at now, I know you've got plans to grow your business into a much nicer practice, and I have similar things. But as a solopreneur, we get to do both of these things all the time. And then there's the third set, and this is the case where Mary's in the pie shop, and she's covered with flour at 11 o'clock at night. She's got 50 pies to bake, and everybody's gone home, and she's stuck having to do everything and anything. And that's this last role, this what we call googly eyes, or the technician role, right? And this is the person that just is responsible for doing anything and everything, right? And so I suspect that you, as well as I, run into people like this all the time. I would say that 8 or 9 out of 10 small business owners that I run into look at this and they say, hey, this technician role, right, that's the place where I'm stuck, right? That's where I need to figure out a way out of this thing. And then we, as business owners, can very easily get caught in that same particular space, right? So I went too far on that one. In the technician role, so the question comes up to like, how do we change this? How do we get out of this, right?
Right.
And we talked about planning a little bit beforehand, and the idea is to figure out, how can I make sure that I don't lose that entrepreneur time, right? When we take a look at the manager role, we need to make sure that we do this effectively and efficiently. And then sometimes we are the technicians. I have to deliver the coaching services, right? So I am that particular person, but what I don't want to do is get overwhelmed. Right. And so when it comes time to figuring out, how do we manage this stuff effectively, we take a look at the rates and the roles of each of these different things. So the technician role is sort of the person that kind of maybe does the filing, does the bookkeeping, does that kind of thing there. And so what kind of an hourly rate do you think you'd pay that technician?
That technician to do filing and bookkeeping, probably like
phone calls, answer the phone.
$20 an hour.
$20 an hour. Yeah. Okay. So now, and you're talking about your practice, right? So let's say we grow our practice and we hire a bunch of support services, and you have to have a manager that manages all of that stuff. How much would you pay the manager?
That would probably be, I'm thinking of my contractors, like $35 an hour.
Right. Okay. But now you're the owner, right? You're the entrepreneur, right? How much do you want to make?
Yeah, that's a lot more.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, you get to decide.
Sure.
Right? The market
Sure.
will set the price of the technician.
The market
those
does set
resources.
the price.
The market
Right,
will
right.
set the price of the manager.
Right.
And so you know, you have to pay
Totally.
what you have to pay, right?
Right.
But as the business owner, you can pick whatever the heck you want,
Right.
right? Now, here's the rule of thumb, right? If you want to make that, and let's just draw an arbitrary number and say it's $150 an hour,
Sure.
right? It's $300,000 a year. It's a nice number. But if you want to make $150 an hour, you have
Right.
to do stuff that's worth $150,
Right.
right? So you can't do the $20 an hour stuff,
Right.
You can't do the $35 an hour stuff, right? Because you're
Completely.
costing yourself money. And so what we do is we take a look at this and make a list of all these things that the technician should do, and make a list of all the things the manager should do, right? And we start to find other ways to get those things done.
Right.
Can I pay somebody else? Can I use technology? Can I automate? Can I do all of those different things
Right.
to make that thing happen, right?
Right.
So, taking a look at your business, your career, where you're at right now today, what are the things, the places you find yourself in the technician role?
Well, it's interesting that you bring this up because I was initially the entrepreneur and doing things hourly. So I completely relate to this because I was doing one-on-one coaching and also creating everything myself. I've grown a little bit and have a bigger vision, but as I've grown, I've definitely recognized the importance of getting some of the technician elements off my plate. So I've hired some contractors to do writing, and I've hired some contractors to do some of the technology automation. I still find myself in that a little bit for sure, because as I'm developing new products, I have to create those products. And so being able to put my brain power toward that and work with somebody who's going to make that come to life, it does just take time. So I definitely find myself getting stuck in that technician role in that regard, in creating more products as the market requests. And then trying to find that time to scale myself. So instead of using the one-on-one coaching model, I now use group coaching, a little small group coaching, and I automate that.
You
So
can service more clients.
yeah, I can service more clients and help more people. And then as I still do some individual work with them, but when I'm doing my training, I can at least scale that and have more people watch that training. So those I think are good steps. The place where I really want to get to is going to be a whole nother level. I definitely feel like there'll be a moment where I'm going to need to train other coaches. There'll be time when I need to create new products. There'll be things that I need to automate online that just allow people to have a do-it-yourself program. And I'm not there yet. So definitely I'm stuck in that area where being able to kind of build enough things to have, the next phase come on, it just is kind of an evolving process.
So, when you're creating new products and
Right.
services, now you're back up in that entrepreneur. That's
Right.
the stuff that's worth
Which is
$150
fun.
an hour. That's
Yeah.
that's really, and
Yeah.
you can't spend all day, every day there. That doesn't
Sure.
work because we have to do these other kinds of
Yeah.
things. The challenge we all run into, is then, how do we execute?
Right.
Right? How do I
Right.
implement this stuff?
Right.
Right? Because if I have to design it and implement it and test it and da-da-da-da and
Right.
da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da, it's draining, and there's just not enough hours to do all of that kind of stuff. So in terms of scaling your business, right?
Right.
What's the next thing?
One of the things that I do get stuck on as you were talking, I just remembered that is just training contractors, because I can be entrepreneurial and create some great product, but then when I turn it over to somebody, I have to train them in what's my voice, what's my brand, how do I want this to come across, what's my personality, and is the reader going to get that from this piece? So training contractors also takes a little
How
bit
could
of time.
you do that more effectively? I mean, if you do it one-to-one and you have to sit there and look, and you can, right? We all sit there and say, listen, the first time we have to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
No choice there,
No
right?
choice there.
But if you're doing it again and again and again,
Right.
How can you make that more effective?
Just automating that and being able to
How would you
give
do that?
them a video or give them a some piece that says like, hey, here's my branding book, here's who I am, here's an opportunity for
process.
you. Absolutely, for sure. Processes and systems. And so giving them that whole, big welcome kit of
What's
like,
a welcome
hey,
kit?
you're my new contractor. Here's how I
It's
work.
almost like an onboarding program
it
for service providers.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Thanks.
That was good.
I do a welcome kit for my clients. It would make sense to give that welcome kit to my contractors.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So what else would we work on? What are some of the other things that kind of
Just systems and making sure that everything has a process to it. Like what are the systems that need to be in place if we're bringing on new clients or if people are seeking information? what needs to be automated that can kind of walk them through and qualify them to see if they're right for me or if they're right for my programs or if they're not, and that can really be scaled and automated in a way that doesn't take a lot of time. So I think that's something that
What's the next one you should work on then?
Well, the first step is I have more clients than I can handle right now because I just do this small group training.
Right.
So being able to have another tool for them to use or another program or I block my time too. So I'm very...
We have to follow, what they
follow
say, eat our own dog food, right?
Exactly. So, finding a way that I could maybe create an automated program that they could go through first to give all the foundational teachings and then they become a private client, like that's something I've been toying with.
Who would you talk to? How would you find somebody that's already doing some of that you could just leverage their time instead of have to do it for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that do that. I do a lot of research on people who are my competitors, and I also do a lot of research on people who are doing the same thing. I bring a unique quality to mine, so, but I think the more of us that are out there that are doing that, the better. Yeah. But looking at people who have already done it and can just create it because it's a passion of theirs would be fantastic.
Yeah, and I think there are some companies out there that are really looking, and I've done my own research on some of these and continuing the automated training. Automated modules, right? They that's their business. Yeah. It's not my business, right? I have the material that needs to be automated.
Right.
But I'm not the guy that actually does the automating. Yeah. So that would be the second thing that you could do. What's the third thing that you might come up with?
The third thing to do would probably be to automate my training program. Right now I do an 8-week training program with my clients. Again, I mentioned it's fast track. I move quickly. It's not some big year-long program. But I do fast track training with my clients. I do an online class with them every Monday and then also do a Q&A with them every Thursday. And so I spend a lot of one-on-one time with them as well, but automating that training program is something that I could do. So creating a way to automate each of the different 8 modules that I go through is a great next step to get that automated, and then I can just spend time answering their questions and moving them forward.
So you mentioned, I know you're fast tracking and all that kind of stuff, but the thing to talk to you, this is a high energy, high impact, high activity, right? If you're not ready to jump in and make this happen, this might not be the right one for you. But if you're the person that really wants to get after it and get it done and just knock stuff off and crosses things off your list, this is 8 weeks, bam. You make some
big results.
Pretty big results in a pretty short period of time. So great. There's 3 action items.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I love it. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I want to close with 2 things, right? The 3 recommendations, pieces of advice that you would provide to our viewers with respect to coaching their business. What are the 3 things you'd want to share? Tell them what they should do.
With respect to your business and with respect to coaching in general, I mean, I would say 1 is operate with total integrity and have clarity. Clarity is the key, and it starts with you. Where do you want to go, and what's your vision? It gives you the opportunity to say no to a lot of things that are not moving you toward your vision, that are also just time wasters, and that's a biggie. The next one would be creating your own secret playbook. So if you know each different aspect of your life and what's important in your life, creating your plays, creating all the plays that are going to get you to success and get you to score a touchdown in each of the different areas of your life. And then the third thing would be leveraging your time and scaling yourself. One of my mentors, John Asseroff, teaches, do it if it's something that you love to do. Delegate it if it's something that you don't love to do, or if it's a time waster. And delete it if it's something that's not absolutely imperative to your goal. So I leave you with that because I think it's really important to do those 3 things to move forward in your business and in life.
There was one other thing we talked about. It was the 8 F's, right?
One of the models that I teach with my clients, because they're like, I don't even know where to start. My life is overwhelming. My business is overwhelming. So I help them break it down. I like things simple. I worked in sports, so keep it simple for me and I'm good. So I just created 8 F's. Your fitness, your family, your firm, which could be your career, your finances, your faith, your fun and fun experiences, and your feelings. And if you faith, fitness, family, firm, finances, career, fun, feelings. I feel like there's one more. Anyway, future.
Okay, good.
And your future. And so if you create those F's in a line, and then you create your offense, like what are the actions you need to take?
To be a guest on the show, contact us at BusinessWhitt.com or send us an email. Filmed at John Whitt Enterprises, 2 Park Plaza, Irvine, California.